Hey there, and welcome to another episode of Dropping the Hammer with Daniel McFadin. I'm Daniel McFadin. We're just a few days away from the start of the 2022 NASCAR season, and when Daniel Hemric arrives in Daytona Beach, Florida, he'll be arriving as the defending Xfinity Series champion. After years of Hemric trying and failing to earn a win, any win, in a NASCAR National Series, he got it finally last November when he got his win at Phoenix Raceway, and in the same swoop, also claimed the Xfinity Series championship. And then he immediately changed teams. After winning with Joe Gibbs Racing last year, he will now go to Kaulig Racing, where he'll race full-time in the Xfinity Series, but also have 7 points races in the Cup Series, having not competed in the Cup Series since 2019 when he won Rookie of the Year honors with Richard Childress Racing. So this is my first time getting to talk to Daniel since that night in Phoenix where he won driving the number 18 car. And it's a really cool interview with Daniel. He talks about what the new pressures that come with being the defending series champion, and what it's like to no longer have that pressure of trying to get that first win. He also talks about what it's like being one of the few remaining North Carolina natives competing in NASCAR these days. And we go into a lot of other stuff. So here is my interview with defending Xfinity Series champion Daniel Hemric. So welcome to Dropping the Hammer, Daniel Hemric. Just describe to me like where you're at right now in your transition into Kaulig Racing. Three months after winning the Xfinity Championship. Where are you at right now?
Yeah, man, it's I'm in a good spot. I mean, obviously, right, wrong, or indifferent, you can't hide from critics and skepticism of yourself and your career. And for me, a lot of that was silence in a way, right? 3 months ago. And it does. I'd be lying if I said it don't feel like, a little bit of weight off of you. And lets me kind of embrace this new challenge within Kaulig and, what our expectations and goals are for the 2022 season. It lets me approach that stuff very freely. And yeah, it's a good spot mentally. Home life is good and our little girl's growing and, yeah, we've enjoyed for sure what has happened, 3 months ago to us as a family. But I feel like as a family also we've embraced this new point of a career path change here with Kaulig, and they've welcomed us with open arms. So that's all I can ask for, and sitting in a good spot here.
Can you put into words? You said it's freeing, finally getting that win. But can you actually put into words what it feels like to not have to have that pressure of winning finally off?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I've always welcomed the pressure of it. And it wasn't like with each race that would build more and more, right? I mean, heck, and it quite frankly took so long. I don't think any human could withstand it if they let it build every single week after falling short. But I don't know. It's kind of hard to exactly articulate that with words until we kind of get back in competition, right?
Yeah.
Yes, it was 3 months ago, but still freshly removed from this highest moment of your career to haven't really faced competition again, right? So I think that's honestly a question for 3, 5, 10 weeks into this 2022 season. But I know just personally, I talked immediately after the championship how just kind of validating to myself that I can do it.
Yeah.
And that, hey, yes, you did not forget how to do it. And that in itself is probably a value that I can't put a number on. And because of that, I like to, approach all new things with the most upbeat, way you can approach them. But experience what I experienced, that last lap of Phoenix of 2021 lets me approach it with even that much more, that much more of a free spirit. And, and quite frankly, I said that, when I signed my deal, Joe Gibbs Racing the end of 2020, that it had expiration date, right? I mean, I knew my season and, coming into 2021 and my career could possibly be over if things don't turn a certain way or go a certain way. And Matt Kaulig and Chris Rice and all the men and women here at Kaulig Motorsports or Kaulig Racing actually have, afforded me, this chance to continue on. And we could never script how it was going to turn out. And then to have the regular season champion and AJ Allmendinger now be my teammate, and then them, have myself as the reigning Xfinity Series champion. Like, yeah, we're loaded for bear and ready to rock.
So, like, with all of that though, it does come with a new kind of pressure, though, right? You got to follow this up now. You got to prove that you can do it again, and you also you have the target on your back now. You're the defending champion. So
yeah, and that's a great thing.
So, like, how are you transitioning into that mindset? Like, okay, now people are chasing me.
That's a great place to be. I'll tell you this. I capped off. I talked about our season kickoff lunch here at Kaulig. Somehow I got called up to do that toast by Chris Rice.
Okay.
And a quote came to me that I read recently, and this is what I spoke about during my toast was, with all things through life, as you grow and develop, as you have success, in which Kaulig Racing has had, and that I most recently experienced myself. As you go through all those things, pressure obviously builds, right? But you got to look at it, in my opinion, and this is what I read in my book was, pressure is a privilege. Mm-hmm. And to, I straightforward challenged everybody, that all the men and women I looked at in their eyes as I made this toast, that I challenged them to embrace that. And that's my answer to your question. I'm ready to embrace that challenge, and the pressure that comes with being an Xfinity Series champion or past Xfinity Series champion. Yeah, I'm all about it. It's a privilege.
And where'd you get that quote from? You said you got it from a book?
I can't give away my little downtime, readings.
Oh, come on.
It's been, and honestly, like, some of that stuff's been, instilled in me. I've talked in past interviews over the last couple of years, right, through my career, peaks and valleys, that, I've had to do a lot of re-examining myself and trying to, find a better just mental spot in general. And as you go through competition and having some outlets, some books and some things to keep mindset right, it's been good for me. So I'm not going to tell you where it came from, but I'm going to roll with exactly, I quoted it as it is.
Okay. All right. So when did it finally hit you that you were the champion? Like at what point in the aftermath, like, oh, this is reality. This happened.
Yeah. I mean, I think, one of the answers I think you probably get, I'm just assuming you get on a regular basis, is when you put your next year suit on, then your, for me, the Xfinity Series logo's got a different look to it. And that's cool. But, for me, I think as you go through your career, you get so wrapped up in the right now and what's ahead, that I think way later in life, it'll actually like really set in. Okay. But man, we finished the season. It was great. We celebrated, went through the banquets, and that was all great. And of course, you're there as the champion.
Yeah.
But, still to this day, I'll see a familiar face that I haven't seen in a while, and they'll bring it up and give me their testimony of where they were that night and how they celebrated and how pumped up they were. Those are the little reminders that, hey, we did something really damn cool that night. But I think being able to go through life when racing is long gone for me down the road, that you'll really be able to, like, man, you can't take that away from you. And that's forever. And that's special.
So in the 3 months since you won the title, has any like new door opened for you that maybe wouldn't have been open for you unless you were an Xfinity Series champion?
That's a good question. I don't I don't think so. No, I think I'm currently sitting. Yeah, I'm in the same house, at the same family, same individuals I surround myself with. Obviously the conversation of, Hemric, would you just win a damn race already? That changed. So I guess that could be one thing, with your buddies and subtle jabs. For whatever reason, I will tell you that, walking into a room and your presence, like you can feel that even if you think you're the same person and you are, other people view you differently for whatever reason. Sometimes it's welcome, sometimes it's not. And at the end of the day, that's their prerogative. But me as a person, same guy I was when I rolled into Phoenix prior to the green flag that night at Phoenix. And that's the way I look forward to keeping it.
Okay. So, all right. So in your NASCAR career, this Kaulig is your 6th stop. Is it 6th team you've been with?
You know better than I do. That's not something I actually have thought about.
Okay. Well, I'll just you raced for Newberry in the trucks, Kaulig Racing, RCR, JRM, JGR, and now Kaulig. So I think is that
6? It is.
All right, so 6. So what has it been like throughout your career, transitioning from one team to the next, and having to adapt yourself to what that organization wants out of you? How have you developed your transition process over the years?
Yeah, I think that's taken time. In all reality, and I don't know if you're ever where you need to be with that, because you don't make a transition already looking at, okay, how am I going to evolve to the next one, right? Every decision I've made, because that was the decision I did make, was the best and most information I had at that time. And no different than this one here with Matt Kaulig, Chris Rice, and everyone at Kaulig Racing. Knowing that, as I went through some of those earlier transitions, I was, a good bit younger. I tried to look at those particular situations as, when you're growing up short track racing, heck, there's times you're driving for different owners in any particular weekend, right? So you're jumping in and parts and pieces are different, people are different, but then you share a common goal. I tried to treat those situations very similar to that. Obviously a lot bigger stage, but same concept of getting in and controlling what you can control. And then as you do evolve and you learn more and more about the parts and the pieces and the people, you learn that the culture is different within each of those organizations. I appreciate that now more than I probably did then in those other, situations, and really, really, truly tried to embody that and embrace that throughout my 2021 season with Joe Gibbs Racing, with trying to establish a relationship with coach and the integral people inside that building, but also not try to worry too much about the, parts and pieces, and just worry about, being the best race car driver I could be. And I've given Dave Rogers, all the credit for that, for pushing me to different links and different parts of my craft that I didn't honestly even know were there. So it was, all of them are different, have their own different feel and different culture, if you will. But I appreciate that.
So Kaulig, it's pretty well established. It's kind of a close-knit family-like atmosphere there. How does that compare to the other stops you've been at?
For me, Kaulig itself, right? I think it's, like I said, all the teams I've been fortunate to drive for and the incredible owners I've driven for have all just been different situations and different individuals in their own right. Now, I'm thankful for each one of them, because they've definitely taught me something about myself and so on and so forth. But, Kaulig in particular, I remember coming here to RCR in 2017, or coming to RCR 2017, and, they are forefront in the middle of our competition meetings, because they were new to an alliance with RCR and so on and so forth. So my point is, I saw that very small group, one car Xfinity team, grow into what's now 3 full-time Xfinity cars, and starting this year, 2 full-time Cup operations. So that is a huge amount of growth, and the amount of success they've been able to do it with throughout that time is pretty unheard of, right? And as you look at it from the outside looking in, which is where I always stood until currently this year, was that, starts with leadership. And Matt Kaulig gives everyone under this Kaulig Racing banner, all the opportunity, all the support, loosens the reins enough to let them make decisions, from Chris Rice, and that river flows downstream. So I think because of seeing that growth, from the early beginnings to now walking into Kaulig and seeing where it's at, it just adds more perspective to it than I think some of the other ones were, because they were there, they were established. I didn't see them grow and build, right? So all are different in their own way, and I think it makes this one in that way different from the others.
What's it like being back on the RCR campus after being gone for a couple of years?
Well, some things never change, and it's still a 55-minute drive to get here and 55-minute drive home. But I talk about appreciating that stuff, from 2017 through 2019, my time here on the campus at RCR. And, now I guess I'm not sure when you quit saying new father, but as a newer father still, and, more things to balance and juggle in your life. I actually appreciate that drive. I appreciate being able to, make phone calls I need to make, or, just have some time to think through that drive. Like, you learn how to, put value on that time. I think I've grown in that aspect, and just, being here and knowing faces, knowing names, seeing that, as much as they've changed, a lot of it's still the same. So it's been fun. I mean, I think back as you asked that question, my mind's running, but, they just ran the Coliseum this past week, with the Cup cars and with our Cup Alliance with RCR, the 8-car broke leading, and, me and Richard Childers are, just him and I are laying on the surface plate, looking underneath this car just yesterday on the surface plate. Once it got back from LA, looking and talking through what happened, why it happened. And my point is, like, it's hard to do that with somebody or individuals you don't know or trust or can't communicate with yet. So I have that line of communication, and look forward to hopefully using that to help all of us grow and continue to strengthen the alliance.
So does it like feel like you just left RCR, or does it feel like was a 2-year gap?
That's a great question. For those days being so much more integral in the parts and pieces, I can't answer the gap until I kind of drive their race cars and see, okay, have they developed, have they changed, what hasn't? But, the relationships, a lot of it feels like it picks right back up where it left off. And I'm thankful for that, right? I mean, it definitely, I think it helps the line of communication so much that as we do start the season, everything's still new honeymoon phase, right? Because it's all new again to majority of us, especially myself. We're refreshed. But as we start the season, I think being here, having some of those established relationships will hopefully allow us to pivot and turn what has turned into a bigger ship here within Kaulig Racing, and then in the bigger picture of RCR, hopefully having those relationships helps us turn this ship faster.
So you get to go Cup racing again this year.
It's pretty cool, yeah.
So outside of the qualifying races, you get 8 points races. Which of those 8 races are you most looking forward to? Okay, I'll remove Daytona 500 from the equation. Outside the Daytona 500, which of those races are you most eager to get to?
Yeah, that's you took away the big one, right?
Yeah.
That's one, quite frankly, talk about appreciating and perspective. Yeah. Like definitely a different perspective rolling into Daytona 500 this year for me from what it was in 2019.
Yeah.
But, moving past that, Fontana is the next one for me. And the reason I say Fontana is because, I was very vocal and open about how Poppy Banks stepped up in an incredible way in 2021 and have continued to step up, honestly, for the last 4 or 5 years of my career to give me opportunities, but to a different level, to give me that opportunity at JGR to either, one, rekindle my career to the highest point possible, or, hey, we're all in to at least give you one last final shot to make something happen. And to go to Fontana, to know that, that's close to where Poppy Bank is based out of, to know that we'll have, the family that stepped up and supported me through those years, a lot of employees and people there to support us. Like, as far away as that is from home, from this North Carolina guy, like, that's going to feel like a homecoming in a way, just for the close-knit relationships that I've developed with those individuals over the years. And for them to feel like they've succeeded in making and taking this chance with me, and, throughout all the last couple of years, but especially 2021, by them doing that, that enabled me to get the call to come drive for Kaulig Racing at the Xfinity level. Oh, and by the way, do it at the Cup level. So to roll off there in a Cup race would be pretty special.
So Poppy Bank's going to be with you in Cup this year?
To be with me? Yeah. So I haven't slated as right now for the one race out in Fontana, which is, that's why I guess that makes it, pretty special, right? So it's kind of just it's just a kind of full circle scenario for them and myself and their state.
So like Kaulig Racing, it's kind of, to me, become like this destination for drivers who are getting second chances, third chances and give people like really good shots that they might not have had otherwise. AJ, Jeff Burton,
Yep.
you, Landon Castles getting his best shot in a decade. What is it like for you knowing you're going to be teammates with guys who have also experienced those peaks, those valleys, and you're all getting this really good shot together at one time?
Yeah, that's a great question. I look at that as, we talk about perspective, talk about, how that changes. I look at the younger version of myself, the younger version of maybe, I don't want to speak for him, but a Landon or an AJ, but these individuals that come in the sport and have success or see success, and you just think it's going to be there. And then all of a sudden it deteriorates faster than you can blink, and you don't know what's next. Right. But you got to continue to show up and keep that work ethic there to make sure you are still a part of the story, or at least figure out how to become back part of the story. And I think all of us, like you said, have experienced things like that. We don't have that, we don't have maybe that new, fresh young guy on the block, view of it, but I think we come with a view of experience. And quite frankly, I'll say too, like before I came here over the last 2 or 3 years, like seeing those other guys get those shots, seeing AJ, Matt Kaulig, Chris Rice personally asked AJ to come help build the road course program, build the entire Xfinity Series program. Like from the outside looking in, I thought, man, that was the coolest thing. Here's an owner who just loves racing and loves trophies and loves, trophy hunting, as you call it, and just wants to see people be successful and give them the tools and resources they need. Like that was awesome to see from the outside looking in. I obviously never thought it'd work out to where I would be in one of the race cars, but I will tell you, the guys who have driven here and have since moved on, and the guys currently here, especially, speaking of Landon in particular, like what an incredible opportunity that's in front of him to kind of revamp his career. And that speaks volumes for what this place stands for. And I hope that the men and women here assembling these cars, working in every avenue of what makes Kaulig Racing what it is, appreciates not only that we're here with them, but that we've also experienced probably very similar stories that they have throughout their time trying to build in whatever direction and role that our company is here, that we've all probably experienced very similar things of highs and lows. So not knowing that we're just coming in to race, we're coming in to race with different perspective, with renewed energy, with renewed sense of belonging, a part of something that's bigger than us. And that's very, very special and unique to all of racing in general.
A lot of teams these days, there's multi-car teams anyway. There's usually like the one veteran, and then there's some young guys.
Yep.
And you've been in those situations before, but now this is like 3 solid veterans of the sport, grizzled veteran, if you want to put it that way. There's no young guy you guys are gonna have to be mentoring, at least on the Xfinity side. How much does that benefit you knowing that you all are going to be working on some sort of level knowledge base, so to speak?
Yeah, I think it, first off, I think very early will be established if we're more stubborn than they thought we were or not. But no, I think being able to, I think you can only think about your own perspective, right? But like I think about, going in the meetings and being dead set on, oh man, my car did this, or I need this change with people or personnel, and so on and so forth. And I think as you develop, you develop a different view of that, and you experience, peaks and valleys. You learn to try to do more with these things and less of this. And I'm hoping that, with all 3 of us kind of being in those scenarios, that we've all learned and grown, and hopefully leads to what we want to be the most successful season that Kaulig Racing's ever experienced. And yeah, hopefully, they can lean on us for leadership, and we can also, do the same within, the peers that are above us and below us within this company to try to pull the rope the same direction. I think that's what they can expect, or at least that's what I want. And that's what I expect from all 3 of us to get back to Kaulig Racing. All
right. So with doing both Cup and Xfinity this year, specifically with the next gen car, which I'm pretty sure you've gotten time in it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So going back and forth, how different will that be compared to previous years with the previous generation of cars? What is not the transfer of information, but will information you gain in one car help you as much in the Cup car as it would have maybe a couple years ago?
That's very to be seen, right? I mean, that's, as we go through our speedway stuff, it is definitely going to be its own animal, but the little things, but whether it's shifting or the pit stops, like those are the things I think you have to mentally be able to reset quick. Mm-hmm. But I feel like every time on the racetrack, no matter whether you're driving a bar stool or a race car, like whatever it is, like, you have to be able to take something from it. And I do think being on the racetrack those weekends while we'll be in the Cup car, whether it's practicing first before the Xfinity car or vice versa, as long as I can compartmentalize where the information needs to go in my priority list and kind of prepare and prep for all that, I don't see how it can be a bad thing. Okay. That being said, though, I have driven the next gen car a decent amount, and they are for sure, key integral things that the driver will have to be able to reset through mentally and applying certain parts of their craft. So yeah, it's a lot to be seen, but I think it's going to be an exciting time because as much as the drivers are changing and adapting to that, the teams are going to be, on double time when it comes compared to what the drivers are going to have to be adapting to. So yeah, it's an exciting time, man. I'm just pumped that I get to be a part of that next gen transition, that I get to be a part of, the opening 500 in these cars and just be a part of the growth. That's not something I can say I knew was in my sight, back, midway through 2021. So it's a cool opportunity I look forward to taking advantage of.
So having not been in a Cup car the last 2 years, does that help you in any way adjusting to the next gen car, seeing as you don't have 2 years of additional Gen 6 stuff to overwrite?
Yeah. So I'll tell you, I feel like you can always look to find, oh man, I expect it to be this or this because of past experience. But I'll tell you from my firsthand experience, running the Cup car and only run the Cup car, no Xfinity races in 2019, to being out of it into an Xfinity car in 2020 with JRM, like obviously huge downforce differences from the 19 Cup car to the Xfinity package that is still currently what we run today. That was a pretty big transition from a pure grip downforce perspective, power to weight or power to downforce ratio. Okay. I think next gen car, from what I understand, it's kind of to be seen on the 1.5 mile stuff, but I think it's from a downforce perspective going to be similar edginess sliding around like the Xfinity car. And I could see if, you were in a 1.5 mile car the last 2 or 3 years and thing is always stuck in the ground and you're not grip limited, but you're aero limited. Yeah, I could see it being maybe a little steeper curve. The only exception to all those thoughts, though, is that on Sundays, those are the best cats that do this, and everybody adapts. And the guys that have an opportunity to put their name above the roofs are warranted, that challenge, and they know how to accept that. And that's what I think can't be overlooked, that there's a reason their names are above those doors. So knowing that you got to find your place in that and be able to adapt in your own way.
So which tracks did you test the next gen at?
Yeah, so my first time strapping in was at the final Charlotte test. Okay. I did the first day, and that was more of a day of establishing what package we're actually going to race. Then my teammate Justin Haley did the second day with what we thought the actual package was going to be. So mine was more of a development of the car phase. And then I had the opportunity to do a day at Daytona as well as one day out in Phoenix. So had a little bit of a taste of those different style of racetracks. 1.5 mile probably did feel the most different than what one generation car to the next, which I think is I never really got to spend a lot of time with the package that got locked in after I got out of the car, if that makes sense. But the speedway stuff, I like speedway racing, and what you see is probably not going to be too much different than what you've seen in other speedway races, and I expect kind of the same on the short track side, or shorter track side. The intermediates I think are going to be an interesting integral part of what this next gen car brings, but everybody will be changing so much on the fly. It's going to be fun to watch.
So just you said it's probably not going to change much, but on the speedway specifically, how different is it for you working in the draft in the next gen car compared to what you experienced a few years ago?
Yeah, a few years ago, we had wickers and all kinds of things. Heck, we took the restrictor plate off, all kinds of things to just try to make it more of that 3x3 or 4 lanes if you're at Talladega wide the whole race. And it did some of that. Um, Once I was removed from the Cup Series, from the Cup scene in 2019, NASCAR had to kind of get away from some of that to help the speeds and whatnot. And, I've heard it referenced that from the spotters' point of view at our Daytona test, that it reminded them some of the 02, 03, 04 Cup stuff, which quite honestly, I was 11, 12, 13 years old and I've had to dive back in and look at some of that just out of curiosity.
Okay.
But I thought that was an interesting part of, how everybody chooses a study different for what we expect. But when you're testing, in all reality, whether it's your 7 to 10 Chevy cars or your Alliance cars, like, there was only 1 or 2 organized huge pack runs, and I was not a part of those. I was in the second day. So my point being is that I'm still going to have to learn throughout the duels, throughout the 500 of what I want, what I need in some form or fashion. But, little things I think about in a little bit of drafting with some of your team guys was, hood flaps move around different, the attitudes and position of what you see, and getting used to the rear view mirror, right? Like it being the camera, like that. Those are all little things you see from the driver's seat, but on the fan's perspective, I don't know. I'd be curious if I'm not in a car. I would love to be sitting in grandstands because I think it could offer something different than what we've seen over the last 10 to 15 years, and maybe something closer, like we said, those early 2000s.
Well, what you said about the spotters, that kind of matches up with. I asked Martin Truex Jr. that a couple of weeks, what he thought it would look like, and his educated guess was that it would be similar to pre-COT era racing. It's like, okay, I like that. I like the style.
I agree. Like, obviously that was in a time where I was watching and growing my love for the sport too, coming up. So I enjoyed that. So, but it's fun to watch it then as a fan, but now go back to use it as homework. Not things you expect to see. I don't think anybody had that on their bingo card as we went down this path. So it's going to be fun to see how that evolves with this car throughout other racetracks as well.
Okay. So I put out on Twitter, seeing if there's any fans that had a question for you. And I got one I thought was interesting from Big Motors Small Blade. Right. He says, how much pride do you take in being one of the few North Carolina native drivers kind of left in prominently anyway, in NASCAR?
Yeah, that's a good question. I appreciate that. I always take pride in that. I feel like one of the top things that gets, when thinking about getting introduced somewhere, like, the word North Carolina follows suit is always your hometown, and to, be from where is considered motorsports capital of the world, like that is special. Why are there not more drivers coming from here, right? And I think at a young age, you don't understand, you don't realize that when you're coming up, whether you're at local little tracks or heck, you're out at dinner and you understand people have different accents or whatnot. Like, man, this is interesting. They're from California or they're from Texas or so on and so forth. And you realize how big of an industry we live in and how many people come here to live and be a part of a culture that is in North Carolina. And as you grow in the sport and you develop, obviously you learn to appreciate that more and more. That, I use my wife as a prime example, moves out here at 16 or 17 years old from El Reno, Oklahoma, to chase a dream of racing. And
Oklahoma,
I think back to myself of how fortunate I've been to be able to be here, to see here, and around my way learn some very integral life lessons because of that. Seeing, I'll just be frank, like seeing guys with sponsorship money come in here and blow through their money and blow through their opportunity and be out partying or doing this or that. Next thing you know, money dries up and they're gone. You never hear of them again. I saw a lot of that from a time I could see until getting my opportunity, within the NASCAR scene. So I take pride in where I'm from, where I've been, things been able to do, and have slowly but surely felt like being able to feel that love back from the community and from the people that support NASCAR in general.
Okay. So after this, I'm interviewing Ben Rhodes. I was wondering, since you're both fellow defending champions, what's a question that you have for Ben Rhodes?
Ooh, question for Ben Rhodes. Yeah, I mean, to go the comical route, I know how his celebration went as well as the rest of the world does. following his win in Phoenix. I also then followed up with it. I think the same post race environment they put you in. And I want to know at what point did he realize he was in trouble and he couldn't stop what he started to feel. I think it happened well before he sat down during that press conference. So I want to make note that I didn't know what my night entailed after winning the championship myself. I knew not to get to that level prior to the press room. So, yeah, I think that'd be a good one to know. When did he know, oh, man, this may not go good?
Okay. That's probably what I was going to ask him at some point. But, yeah, I'll definitely pass that along. So what was your – like once you left the track or whatever, what was your celebration like? What'd you do?
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, it's funny. There's a picture that I posted. My personal first post after the race was me, my wife, Kinsey, and our daughter, Ren, sitting on the racetrack with the trophy, right? What people don't know is that picture was taken at 12:30, give or take, Phoenix time. Yes, I'm from North Carolina. That means it was way later. Our daughter's sleep schedule was not where it was supposed to have been. And she was a trooper through it all, first off. But I tell you, by the time we got out of there, call it 1:30, got on the team plane, actually waited on us. They tore the cars down that night. So we actually got on the plane. We flew home, and I think we rolled back in our house, give or take 7:30 or 8 o'clock a.m. And we did zero celebrating immediately because everybody was completely used up. But that night, so Sunday night, following our Saturday victory, we had all of our closest family and friends over, and heck, we had a couple of drinks. So we just kind of enjoyed company. It was very low key, 15 or 20 people. And then the next night we had our entire pit crew team, anybody and everybody is welcome that wants to be invited through group text and whatnot. And that one got a little more carried away. And we had 2 blow-up obstacle courses out in the backyard. So if people brought their kids, they could have a good time. And
did you say obstacle courses? Is that what you said?
Oh yeah, blow up obstacle courses. Okay. Our entire backyard looked like just something out of an amusement park, I felt like. And we wanted to invite, not only the people that thoroughly were at the racetrack or involved, but their families, their wives and their kids that allow them to do and be gone out on the road as much as they are. So hopefully they enjoyed it. I know I feel like speaking to those individuals following our celebration that they thoroughly enjoyed it. And then, yeah, that was about as much celebrating as I could possibly handle for 2 days in a row. So, yeah, but we did make it count, and I don't think it'll be nights that any of us will ever forget.
All right. Okay. Since my podcast is called Dropping the Hammer, I should have done this last year, but I'm gonna ask all my driver guests this question: Who are you most like, Cole Trickle, Rowdy Burns, or Russ Wheeler?
Ooh. Cole Trickle, Rowdy Burns, or Russ Wheeler? Man, Rowdy was pretty stubborn. Cole learned a lot through watching TV on the sport. And Russ Wheeler, I think he's a good looking dude who really kind of think he wants to be in front of the camera. I'd say Cole Trickle. Okay. You like to embody yourself, that guy who'll race anything, drive anything, get in and go fast, but you also got to go through your steps of learning and your processes and learn what makes you tick to be successful. And a good crew chief, like what I know I had this year at Kaulig Racing with Alex Johnson, the Xfinity side, and then Matt Swiderski on the Cup side. But especially I wanted to note Dave Rogers last year. If anybody listened to the last couple of laps of the crew chief pumping me up like Harry did Cole, go to the outside, you can't hold it.
Okay.
But we put that to good terms at the end of last season. So I'm going to go with Cole Trickle, final answer.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. I think that's all I got for you, man. I appreciate you taking time out of your Absolutely. Last countdown to come here on Dropping the Hammer. Before, man, thank you. You take care. I'll probably see you down in Daytona.
Sounds good. Look forward to it.
All right. Have a great week.
Cheers. Appreciate it. See you, bud.